Hello and welcome to the 2018 Harkleroad-Adams wide receiver rankings. My name is Drew Hare. This is Chris Adams and Matt Harkleroad. Say hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
How you doing? Thanks, Drew.
We're here again. We're going to count on the top 25 wide receivers as ranked by these two guys. Let's talk about methodology.
Yeah, so if you've seen our our running back or our quarterback rankings, a lot of similarities. We're assuming that everybody's healthy. We're assuming that they have a good quarterback that can throw to them. So if you've got a bad quarterback, we try to take that into consideration and say, okay, yeah, he looks like he's got all the right skills. If he had somebody better throwing to him, he's going to be better. We're going to think of those things too. We're going to, assume that they're going to not have any suspension problems or anything else like that. So if we get down to a guy like Josh Gordon, we're going to assume he plays a whole year, even though that's never happened.
Yeah.
So, so that's basically where we're at. We take them as a whole thing, a whole package. Can you block downfield? Do you do those kind of things?
Sure.
That might get you a little bit of bump. Are you great at a one-hand catch? Are you afraid to catch over the middle? Those kinds of things we're also going to take into consideration.
And if you haven't seen our running backs and quarterback rankings, subscribe, go check them out.
Yeah.
Chris, let's talk about even just the overall health of the wide receiver in the NFL. This is a passing league.
It really is, and I think we'll show you on this list. So again, like our running back rankings, we settled on 25 as a nice. People remember things in fives, so like 25 is a good number. So it's different than the quarterback in that we didn't. Obviously, with 25 receivers, not every team's going to be represented, and there are a few teams on this list where we'll have two receivers who crack the top 25, because there are some teams that are really, really deep at wide receiver. I think just like quarterback and running back, wide receiver is up in the NFL. Really buying stock in all the skill positions. You've got the all different kinds of great wide receivers. There's the big, fast guys. There's small, shifty guys. If you look at this, they can all be successful in today's NFL. Another thing, though, with college, we talk about the college offenses and these simplified college offenses. I think one aspect where it is hurting the game a little bit is in wide receivers, in route running. Especially some of these air raid teams. So, being able to run, crisp, precise routes, being able to run, multiple routes on a route tree, that's one of the things that separates, great athletes from really good wide receivers. Because there's a lot of fast guys in college who they just, get the ball in space and make stuff happen. That doesn't work as well in the NFL.
It takes something to really separate yourself.
Exactly.
We're going to see the separation, especially for these top 25 guys. So let's go ahead and start. This is the same thing that we've done with both our running backs and our quarterbacks. We started at number 1 and we work our way down. So we're going to talk about number 1, Antonio Brown from the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, you talk about total package route running, blocking out of the outside of the numbers. The guy can do everything.
And he can return punts too.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's led the NFL and receiving yards 2 years ago.
That helps. Yeah,
that's not easy to do in this NFL where everybody's throwing the ball a ton. He's the best player on the field most of the time when he's on the field. Maybe one or two guys in the NFL you could say are better players at their respective position than he is. He's a monster.
He's maybe not as physically gifted as some of the other people on this list, but just does everything amazingly well.
Yeah, I mean, he's not as big, but he's fast, and he can make moves, and he can make you miss.
He's not small.
No, he's not small. Right.
Yeah, but number 2 on our list, Julio Jones from the Atlanta Falcons, and number 3, DeAndre Hopkins from the Houston Texans. I mean, those guys are like the prototypical wide receiver bodies.
Yes.
Yeah, and it shows you right there, like I just said, there's a lot of different ways to be a good receiver in the NFL. Julio and Hopkins are just physical beasts who can run and jump and big red zone targets. Where Brown.
Well, maybe not so much for Julio.
He should be a red zone target.
But I think of those two guys. I mean, Hopkins probably might be higher on this list if he had a better quarterback throwing to him consistently. He's had to deal with some bad quarterbacks in his time there in Houston, and
hopefully Deshaun Watson can be the one to get it going.
What are you going to say about Julio? The guy he's a beast. He catches everything thrown to him. He's always in the right position. You can't even double cover the guy. Like I said, the red zone is the one mystery I don't understand. But again, that's not his fault.
No.
And another thing about Julio, and actually all three of these top guys, this is a position where there's lots of talent, but there's a lot of guys who bring baggage with them. And again, we focus on on-field performance here. So I'm talking like sideline antics and alienating teammates, and there's just like a lot of divas at the wide receiver position. None of these guys. These guys are all classy. They show up. They work hard. They're good in the locker room, and they don't cause problems for their teams.
Sure, I agree with that.
All right, well, let's move on. Number 4, Odell Beckham from the New York Giants. Number 5, Michael Thomas from the New Orleans Saints. And number 6, A.J. Green from the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, you talk about those guys. We're into number 6, number 7, and these guys could easily be number 1, number 2 on this list.
Yeah, these are great.
Yeah.
Again, it talks to the depth of this position and how great the top really is. I mean, if there's going to be, I'm sure someone would argue that Michael Thomas deserves to be in the top 3 guys, 4 guys. Maybe he will be there. It's early in his career.
Sure.
But the guy, I mean, from his rookie year starting, he just looked like unstoppable. And he does, again, so many things really well. And you look at AJ. AJ is like the only weapon that they've had, significant, scary weapon they've had. He gets doubled constantly, and he still ends up with great stats, great yards. It's insane. You can't stop. You can't even scheme to stop some of these guys, and that just shows you how great the top level of these wide receivers are in this league.
Yeah, a couple guys there. Beckham too. A lot of people would want to think about putting Odell in one or 2 or a 3, and I'm not going to argue that. Kind of what I said before, though, comparing him to the top 3, there is a little bit of the extracurricular stuff with Beckham, with the red zone celebrations and the.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue that he might have a better set of hands than some of those guys, but he's not a better wide receiver.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, he's probably got the best hands in football.
He's right up there with maybe his college teammate, which we'll probably
get to. We'll get to later. And then
he's on that list too.
And Michael Thomas. I second everything Matt said. Watching him at Ohio State, I knew he was going to be a stud.
Even though they barely used him.
Yeah, it's, like I said in one of our other videos, Urban Meyer cost Michael Thomas a ton of money. By running an offense obsessed with like screens, bubble screens, and shuffle passes, and not really. And that was effective. Not to knock Urban, but not utilizing a talent, a more traditional type wide receiver. Like Michael Thomas. The fact that like he was the 4th or 5th receiver drafted that year behind guys like Corey Coleman and Josh Doxson and Laquan Treadwell, it's crazy.
Yeah. And now here he is, number 5 on that list.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the remaining 7 to 10 on this top 10 list. Number 7, Keenan Allen from the LA Chargers. Number 8, Devontae Adams from the Green Bay Packers. Number 9, Larry Fitzgerald from the Arizona Cardinals. And number 10, Mike Evans from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Man, Larry Fitzgerald continues to keep going. I mean, he's the ageless wonder.
What else can you say about that guy? It was back in 2009, I think, when he single-handedly carried Arizona to the Super Bowl.
Almost won them that
Super Bowl, yeah. And that was 9 years ago. And yeah, he slipped a little bit, but he's still a really, really good wide receiver.
You say slipped a little bit, but again, he's still going to be in
the
top 10.
And
every year you're like, this is the year.
Yeah.
I think it's been 6 years now. I've been saying, well, this is the year that Larry Fitzgerald's going to slow down a little bit. And the guy keeps immaculate health of himself. He's a great citizen of the world, and not just on the football field. You can't say enough about him. He does all the right things. I don't know. Maybe he plays till he's 45. He's one of those guys, like Jerry Rice back in the day, when you said he could have played forever. And I think Larry Fitzgerald's in that same rarefied air. Definitely a first ballot Hall of Famer. One of the best wide receivers that's ever played the game.
Yeah. And since Kurt Warner retired in Arizona, it's been very shaky quarterback play there.
And he still puts up huge numbers. He's a magnet for balls.
Exactly.
He'll have 8, 9, 10 catch games with bad quarterbacks. It's crazy. It doesn't make sense.
The top 10 is a nice combination of you guys have talented, like really super talented, with Julio's and the Hopkins of the world. They are the prototypical wide receivers, but then you have Brown, then you have Keenan Allen, who might have the best hands in football. Larry Fitzgerald, these guys know how to run routes, and that will
they do everything well.
Keep them relevant for a long time.
Like in a maybe not a huge market where you see him all the time, but he is about as consistent as a wide receiver as there is in this game. He's consistently in the 1,000-yard club. He does so much with they have a good Phillip Rivers is a good quarterback, can move the ball a lot, but there hasn't been a whole lot of offensive help in that team either. You got Melvin Gordon, sure, but again, he's just been consistent.
Yeah.
Whereas the guy I think we have at 8 is a little bit of the opposite side of that, which I think Harkleroad-Adams has got to take a step forward,
Yeah.
earn this top 10 place that we're giving him and everybody else seems to be anointing him with. I mean, he looks like he's got the skills. Can he be a number 1 option without Jordy Nelson?
Yeah.
Without some of those other guys that have been there? If he can take over that mantle, I think he can. That's why he's at the spot. But it's a kind of interesting. I think that's a really interesting place. Mike Evans in that same spot.
Yeah, I was gonna say
consistent guy.
Yeah, I was gonna say Mike Evans. I mean, the guy has talent. He could be in that top 5 pretty easily going into 2019. But whether it's health, whether it's quarterback play, whether it's just his own particular play, I mean, he has room to grow. I think.
Yeah, I'm bullish on Mike Evans. I liked him coming out of A&M. Again,
I think you like Mike Evans a little better than I do.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I'm a sucker for the big wide receivers,
Sure.
and obviously we pointed out there are little guys on this list who are awesome, but all else being equal, I probably would take the bigger receiver over the smaller receiver. Again, assuming all else equal, just because
That's fair. Easier to get the ball to him.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, well, let's go ahead and recap the top 10 one more time. So number 1, Antonio Brown. Number 2, Julio Jones. Number 3, DeAndre Hopkins. Number 4, Odell Beckham Jr. Number 5, Michael Thomas. Number 6, A.J. Green. Number 7, Keenan Allen, excuse me. Number 8, Harkleroad-Adams. There's the Adams part.
Yeah, trick you there.
Number 9, Larry Fitzgerald. And number 10, Mike Evans. All right, let's go ahead and move on to 11 to 20. Let's talk. I want to kind of group these next 3 guys together. Very similar in nature. Obviously, number 11, T.Y. Hilton from the Indianapolis Colts. Number 12, Tyreek Hill from the Kansas City Chiefs. And number 13, Jarvis Landry from the now Cleveland Browns. These guys, they're fast. They run really good routes. I mean, for T.Y. and for Tyreek, I mean, you just send them flying and they can do anything.
Yeah, I think in that range. I mean, if you told Jarvis anybody put him on the ranking at 13, he's going to be very upset. He believes he believes he deserves to be significantly higher than that. It seemed yet to be seen whether or not somebody's going to use him the way that he feels like he needs to be used. Guy's got great hands, catches everything thrown to him. He's willing to go over the middle and get hurt. Whereas those 2 other guys, T.Y. Hilton and Tyreek, they are your burners, right?
Yeah.
And then you give them the ball, you throw it up to them, they're going to outrun coverage. They're going to get open and get to that ball. And
they both benefit, especially now with Evans with Mahomes there, and of course Andrew Luck, big arm quarterbacks going down the field.
Yeah, I mean, just talk about a world difference from Alex Smith to Pat Mahomes
Yeah.
for Tyreek Hill.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But Alex Smith, again, numbers were great last year,
Yeah.
throwing deep balls, and that's because of Tyreek Hill.
Yes.
Not because he got so much better, maybe he got better throwing deep balls. I'm doubtful, but it's probably because he had a target like that where he could just loft a ball up and go have someone run underneath it.
Sure.
And looking at back to Jarvis Landry for a minute, I know some people were, and when the Browns made the trade, some people were critical of Landry. Is he really an elite wide receiver? The yards per catch is not great, but what he does well, he does so well.
Yeah.
Catches everything. Guy scored 9 touchdowns last year. That's not bad on a bad team.
Well, that's one of the knocks on him, though, is he only scored 9 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of, with the amount of balls he caught, he should have probably had a higher number. Again, bad quarterback play maybe has a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
But again, he's going to be, he led the league in receptions last year, right? On a bad team. That's a lot of balls to get thrown to you, and to make the grabs to catch it, he catches everything.
Yeah. And Jarvis, if you're watching this video, as a Browns fan, I hope you use this 13th ranking as motivation to have that great season.
We both want to see you in the top 10 next year, buddy.
And Jarvis, make sure you subscribe as well.
Yeah.
Let's move on the list. Number 14, Stephon Diggs from the Minnesota Vikings. Number 15, Marvin Jones from the Detroit Lions. Number 16, Brandon Cooks from the LA Rams. Number 17, Doug Baldwin from the Seattle Seahawks. A good combination. You got some young guys with Diggs, you got Cooks. Obviously new situations for some of these guys, but who do you guys want to talk about?
I said Brandon Cooks for a minute. It's just interesting for a guy who is so talented as he is and who was a first-round draft pick. He's now on his 3rd team, in 4 years, 3 years or something.
You almost kind of wonder if there's some other issue there that's just not...
But,
coming out to surface, whether he's a bad locker room guy or something.
And he's been traded twice.
As talented as he's been, people have given up things to get him.
Yeah, first round picks, I believe, in both situations.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. But again, he's obviously talented.
Yeah.
it's hard to rank him any higher,
Yeah.
just maybe because of the consistency, because
Yeah.
we don't know, maybe he wasn't maybe as good as he should have been in New England. I think that's probably why they got rid of him. But he's got all the physical tools, right?
Yeah.
So, and then you talk about Diggs, another guy who looks like he could take the leap and be farther up on this list. Again,
Yeah.
a young guy, was hard to kind of figure out where
Yeah.
to put him.
He's got a better quarterback throwing to him this year.
Yep, that's
So.
for sure. Of course he does.
We're gonna make sure Diggs talked about Diggs and
I think he could be higher up on that list, if only for getting more opportunities. And then you talk about Marvin Jones, a little older guy, and Doug Baldwin. Doug Baldwin probably could be higher up on this list, but again, consistency. Whether or not we assume health, but again, how many times is this guy going to get injured and keep coming back as the same guy? I'm not sure. We kind of have to take that into consideration.
We assume health, but like if someone has a track record of being injury prone, that is something that we consider in these.
I think it's fair. All right, let's go ahead and continue to move on. Number 18, Josh Gordon from the Cleveland Browns. Number 19, Amari Cooper from the Oakland Raiders. And number 20, Adam Thielen from the Minnesota Vikings. Josh Gordon,
Yeah.
the talent's always been there. If you can stay on the field, stay healthy, stay out of trouble. Man, this guy, you talk about somebody from that 15 to 20
Yeah.
range, I could definitely shoot up into the top 10.
I mean, he arguably is the most physically gifted wide receiver in the NFL. Arguably, 6'4", fast as all
anybody.
heck. Yeah, fast as anybody. Also, if you have to think back to 2013 was when he was the big year, which was 5 years ago. But if you watch those Browns games, and I did, he wasn't just catching deep balls. He caught a lot of deep balls, but he was catching slants. He was catching goal line fades. He was catching. They did a couple end arounds with him. You can do so much with a guy of his talent and ability. And yes, it's been 5 years since he played, but he hasn't gotten slower. He hasn't shrank in those 5 years. He's just turned 27. Obviously,
There's
there's
a whole lot of mileage on
yeah, exactly.
Especially for
Yeah.
college, like,
Yeah.
Yes,
right.
yeah, exactly. So obviously, there's big questions about whether he can, stay.
Yeah,
on-
you
out
give me,
in the
you give me
field,
a guy with a better games played to 100 yards catching ratios
Yeah.
than he has.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like every game he plays, the guy catches 100, 200. We've had 200-yard games. Like we're talking about a guy,
Yeah.
a monster
Yeah.
when he plays. Unfortunately for me and Chris, and for every NFL fan probably, the guy just doesn't play enough.
And he looked pretty damn good when he came back last year in those 5 games of the season after not playing in 3
With
years.
bad
at
quarterback
that point,
play.
with awful quarterback play.
It's
Yeah.
more of an NBA thing. You always say you can't teach height.
Yeah.
Obviously for the 7-footers, there's and the same thing with Josh Gordon, Amari Cooper. You just can't teach that height. I mean, the guy can go up, the guy can catch everything that's thrown his way. We just wonder if it's actually.
Yeah, I mean,
is Derek Carr going to continue to be the answer for
And he
that?
feels a little inconsistent.
Yeah.
It feels like he can go off. Sometimes it seems like he's not participating almost
Yeah.
in games. It's kind of really weird, and I don't know exactly what to put all that to. But like you said, physical gift. And then maybe you compare that to the guy at 20 here, Adam Thielen, who does everything really well. And maybe doesn't have all those same gifts.
Yeah, because even before last year, nobody would have even thought Thielen
No.
would be top 20,
No.
25, 30.
I didn't even know who Adam Thielen was going into last season.
But again, a guy who works hard,
Yeah.
knows his routes, does what he does well, catches balls. It's again, there's the comparison. So you got Amari Cooper, who could significantly be higher on this list, but probably doesn't work hard enough to do it. No offense to Amari Cooper, and then
Subscribe
Adam
anyway,
Thielen.
Laura, if you want.
Yeah, if you want to. And Thielen, however you want to pronounce it, a guy who keeps getting better. He's consistently progressing, and maybe he ends up on this list higher because he works.
He's still a young guy.
He works it. Yep.
Amari Cooper, I loved him coming out of college. I thought he was, one of the best receiving prospects, entering the league, and had a couple of really good first years with Derek Carr. And then going into last year, year 3, that's usually when historically receivers take a big jump. He went backwards,
Yeah.
and I'm not really sure why.
We'll see if John Gruden can come in and fix that.
Yeah, we'll see.
Let's go ahead and recap the number 11 through 20. Number 11, T.Y. Hilton. Number 12, Tyreek Hill. Number 13, Jarvis Landry. Number 14, Stephon Diggs. Number 15, Marvin Jones. Number 16, Brandon Cooks. Number 17, Doug Baldwin. Number 18, Josh Gordon. Number 19, Amari Cooper. And number 20, Adam Thielen. any of those guys in that 11 to 20 range you think is going to jump up into the top 10 after this year? You guys have any bold predictions that you want to make here on this?
If Gordon plays, it's
Yeah.
Gordon.
Yeah.
You
I
think
mean,
so?
it's hard to not put him on that list.
Yeah. Well, and I think when we did our initial draft at this, we had him ranked at like 12 or something, and then it was like, okay,
Well, it's just not-
we can't put him that high
Yeah.
just without being on the field. But yeah, clearly.
All right, well, let's move on. We're going to go to number 21, 22, and 23. I'm going to kind of group together so we can talk about. Number 21, Julian Edelman of the New England Patriots. Number 22, Demaryius Thomas of the Denver Broncos. Number 23, Golden Tate of the Detroit Lions. These guys are established veterans. They're good route runners. Thomas, I mean, we talked about, there's a nice, we continue to see throughout this list a combination of guys who are just like stereotypical, like prototypical wide receivers, and that would be Demaryius Thomas.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And compare that to Julian Edelman, who's not your
The route
prototypical,
runner,
not your prototypical guy. But Demaryius probably falls on this list this low because of bad quarterback play.
Yeah.
And
Remember when Peyton Manning was in Denver and playing at a really high level? I mean, Demaryius Thomas was at everyone's top 10 wide receiver.
And again, we try to take quarterbacks out of it, but when you only have a bad quarterback throwing to you, it's hard to say what your talent level is now. And it's been real bad. Hopefully, with Keenum there, it gets a little better. But it's just,
But I think though too, Matt, if you look at the top guys on this list, what separates the real top guys from the rest of it is they put up numbers with bad quarterbacks.
True.
You look at Larry Fitzgerald, you look at DeAndre Hopkins, you look at some of the other guys that we had there.
Jarvis Landry.
Jarvis Landry. They put up big numbers with bad quarterback play. Antonio Brown, yes, he plays with Ben Roethlisberger. He'd probably be number one regardless of who their quarterback was. We don't know. We haven't seen him with another quarterback, except for the few games when Ben's been hurt over the years. And guess what? He still put up numbers. But a guy like Demaryius Thomas, Larry Fitzgerald, that was the other guy I was thinking of who put up great numbers with bad quarterback play. But with Demaryius Thomas, you've seen a guy whose career trajectory has sort of has followed the quarterback there, yeah. So that's why he's, I think, in a good spot where he is. And then Golden Tate there at 23, just a solid receiver.
Sure.
I mean, he's just good.
Yep.
Doesn't really do anything great, but does everything well.
His ceiling's capped, I think.
Yeah.
I think so. I think he did
He's
it.
the ideal number 2 receiver.
Yep.
I agree with that. All right, let's go ahead and finish off with number 24, Allen Robinson of the now Chicago Bears. And number 25, Juju Smith-Schuster from the Pittsburgh Steelers. So we have a Steelers wide receiver number 1 and Steelers wide receiver number 25. Another guy that you knew he was. Steelers tend to have like those guys. They always usually have to have like a really good established guy, but then there's always somebody that they find in the second and third round. They know how to draft wide receivers. And Juju's
there's not a team who's evaluated that talent at that position better in the draft than Pittsburgh. I mean, maybe Green Bay a little bit too, but the Steelers just hit it out of the park with who they draft.
Yeah, and he's won that position, that second spot, with the help that you get by going against on the opposite side from the best wide receiver in the game. You're going to get some help, but he took that position away from somebody.
Yeah.
He didn't get it handed to him.
Yeah.
He just makes the best out of it. He took it. So I think he deserves to be on this list for that reason. I mean, it's early. He's a young guy. He's still yet to be seen what he can do, but he seems to be a viable weapon. And then Allen Robinson, we'll see. He's moved to Chicago now. Mitch Trubisky's going to be throwing the ball to him. We'll see if that's a good thing or a bad thing for him. But when he was lights out when Jacksonville had that 1 or 2 years of great play offensively, he looked like a world beater.
Yeah, Allen Robinson, he's hard to figure. Like, you guess he had the injury last year. It looks like he's back. But even before that, so I think it was 2015, he looked as good as anybody. Like, he was going to be right up there with Odell Beckham and some of those other great young wide receivers. And then 2016 just started to kind of fell off the map.
Yeah.
Just was not very good. And then got hurt last year. Yeah, so fresh start in Chicago. It's going to be the unquestioned number 1 there. Young quarterback, so we'll see. But maybe he's a guy who potentially he has the ability to move up on this list.
I agree with you.
All right, well, let's go ahead and recap 21 to 25, and then we'll talk about the overall list. Number 21, Julian Edelman. Number 22, Demaryius Thomas. Number 23, Golden Tate. Number 24, Allen Robinson. And number 25, Juju Smith-Schuster. You guys, we harp on this all the time, and it still remains true. It's a nice blend of guys who are just otherworldly talented, and obviously the guys who are the great route runners are still very talented as well. But everybody on this top 25 list does a few things really, really well.
And I think we talked about it when we did on the quarterback ranking. If you haven't checked it out,
Yeah.
again, check it out. That the NFL is becoming more inclusive to what body types are and what you can do really well, and finding a way to work with that. With quarterbacks, shorter quarterbacks, and maybe not prototypical, your 6'6" guys with a cannon arm are playing well in this league. I think the same can be said at the wide receiver position, where there's some guys in there that you said 5 years ago whether or not they'd be high on draft boards. 10 years ago, probably don't make it in this league.
Sure.
And then you got a guy like Julian Edelman he's been a great wide receiver in this league for a number of years now, with not exactly that, because they've got a good coordinating system, and Belichick finds a way to use guys. And he likes a safety net, a guy that catches everything that gets thrown to him. That's what makes I think the NFL is really fun to watch right now.
Yeah.
Without some of the distractions that are on. Why people don't want to watch the games anymore. I think the level of play is at an all-time high, and the level of variation. Not every team looks the same. There's so much going on. It's a real fun time to be an NFL fan.
Yeah. Any final thoughts, Chris?
Yeah, this is a pretty good list. There's some really good wide receivers on this list. Again, if you disagree or you want to move people up or down, we'd love to hear about it in the comments. But I think this is also, because when Matt and I were deciding, what do we want to cap our ranking list at, I think 25 seemed about right, because we were looking at the other players. I think there is a drop-off after about 25
I
or
think
so.
they end up taking flyers on guys if you end up having to go any farther.
Right.
So, and again, no rookies, because we don't rate
we don't.
rookies, but so there could be some extra guys in this list come next year, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Remains to be seen.
Yeah, 2019, we expect a bunch of changes,
Yeah.
and same thing with our quarterbacks and our running backs list, which if you guys haven't gone and checked out those videos, go check them out, subscribe. For Chris Adams from At the Hawk Road, I'm Drew Hare.
One more thing
Yes.
I want to say, Drew, sorry. So we've got this channel going with our NFL ranking list and our predictions. If you have ideas for video content, put it in the comments. Let us know if you want us to keep doing NFL lists, or if you want us to mix in some NBA,
MLB,
baseball,
Sure.
college football, kind of whatever you want.
All right.
And if you want to reach out to any of us, you can reach out to us on Twitter. I'll let you guys give your own Twitter handles, but Chris is at
the C Adams.
And I'm at Mr. Andrew Hare.
and I'm just Matt Hark. No spaces or anything. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope you come back again.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.